The ships came from the darkness between stars like metal monsters awakening from sleep. They were huge beyond anything humans had ever built. The smallest vessel was 10 times larger than Earth's biggest space station. The largest ship stretched across the sky like a floating city, made of black metal and glowing lights. Commander Lee Tae-ho stood in the main control room of Earth's defense headquarters, watching the screens that showed the alien fleet. His hands were steady, but his heart beat fast. In all his years as a soldier, he had never seen anything like this. The alien ships moved in perfect formation like dancers following music only they could hear. "How many ships are there?" asked Dr. Park Soo-jin. She was Earth's best expert on alien life, though she had never actually met any aliens before today. Her voice was calm, but Lee could see the worry in her eyes. "Our computers count 412 large ships," said the young officer at the scanning station. "But there might be more hiding behind the big ones." Lee nodded. He had fought in 3 wars and knew how to count enemy forces. These aliens had brought enough ships to destroy Earth's entire space fleet 10 times over. Maybe 20 times over. Ambassador Kim Do-hyun entered the room. He was an older man who had spent his life talking to world leaders and making peace between countries. But today his job was to talk to beings from another world. His face looked tired and worried. "The alien ships are sending a message," said the communications officer. "It's coming through on all frequencies. They want us to listen. Put it on the main screen," Lee ordered. The screen flickered and changed. A creature appeared that made everyone in the room step back. It was tall as 3 humans and made of what looked like living crystal. Blue light moved through its transparent body like lightning in a storm. Its voice sounded like breaking glass mixed with the sound of wind through caves. "I am Speaker Velthar of the Galactic Tribute Council," the creature said. The words came through the translation computers, but everyone could hear the power behind them. "We speak for 12 ancient races that rule this part of the galaxy. We have come to your small world with a simple offer." Lee felt his jaw tighten. He knew what offers from powerful enemies usually meant. The crystal being continued. "Your species has grown beyond your single world. You have built ships that travel between planets. You have developed weapons that could threaten others. This means you must now follow the old laws of this galaxy." Dr. Park moved closer to the screen. She was recording everything, trying to understand these aliens. "What laws?" she whispered to herself. Speaker Velthar seemed to hear her somehow. "The law of tribute. Every new species that joins our galaxy must pay for the right to exist among the stars. This payment shows that you understand your place and will not cause trouble for the older, wiser races." Ambassador Kim stepped forward. "What kind of payment do you want?" The crystal being's light grew brighter. 40% of your population will come with us to serve the council races. They will work in our cities and on our ships. Your people are young and strong. They will make good servants." Lee's hands formed fists. He had seen slavery in history books, but he had never thought anyone would try to enslave the entire human race. "You will also give us all your advanced technology," the alien continued. "Your computers, your weapons, your spaceships. We will study them and decide what you may keep for your simple needs." "And our resources?" Kim asked, though he already knew the answer would be bad. 60% of your metals, fuel, and rare materials. The Council needs these things to maintain peace across the galaxy. You should feel honored to help us." The room was silent except for the humming of computers. Lee looked around at his people. He saw anger in their faces, but also fear. The alien ships outside could destroy every city on Earth if humans said no. Speaker Velthar's voice became softer, almost friendly. "Do not think this is unusual. In the past 3,000 years, we have made this same offer to 847 other species. All of them accepted our generous terms. Some tried to fight at first, but they learned that resistance only brings pain." The alien showed images on the screen, planets covered in fire, cities turned to ash, broken ships floating in space. These worlds chose to resist us. Now they are empty. Their people are gone. Their civilizations are just memory. Then the images changed. Happy alien families working in clean cities, children playing in parks, people building and learning. These worlds accepted our offer. Their people live good lives serving the Council. They have peace and safety. Lee knew propaganda when he saw it. The happy aliens in the second pictures looked tired and scared. Their eyes had no hope in them. "You have 30 Earth days to decide," Speaker Velthar announced. "After that time, our ships will take what we need by force. If you cooperate, only the required number of your people will die during collection. If you resist, we will kill everyone and take what we want from your empty world. The screen went black. The alien ships continued their slow orbit around Earth, waiting for humanity's answer. Ambassador Kim turned to Lee and Dr. Park. We need to call an emergency meeting of all world leaders. Every government, every military commander, every scientist who might have ideas. Lee nodded. How long do we really have? 30 days to save the human race, Kim said. Or decide how we want to die. Dr. Park was still staring at the dark screen. In all my studies of life in the universe, I never imagined we would meet aliens like this. I always thought the first contact would be about sharing knowledge and becoming friends. Maybe some aliens are like that, Lee said. But we met the wrong ones first. Outside, the alien ships continued their patrol. Their dark shapes blocked the stars and cast shadows on the moon. Earth had received its ultimatum. Now humanity had to choose between slavery and death. In meeting rooms around the world, leaders gathered to debate the most important decision in human history. Some wanted to fight. Others wanted to negotiate. A few thought they should surrender immediately and save as many lives as possible. But deep in the heart of every human, something stirred. Something that had kept the species alive through ice ages and wars and disasters. Something that had driven humans to climb mountains and cross oceans and reach for the stars. The same thing that had always made humans dangerous when cornered. The refusal to accept the unacceptable. 7 days had passed since the aliens delivered their demand. In those 7 days, the world changed in ways no one expected. The arguments started immediately. In the United Nations building in New York, world leaders shouted at each other in dozens of languages. Some wanted to surrender right away. Others wanted to fight even though they would lose. A few hoped they could negotiate for better terms. President Song Ji-hoon of South Korea stood at the podium, trying to bring order to the chaos. We need to think clearly, he said. These aliens have weapons we cannot match. If we fight them, everyone dies. If we surrender, we lose everything that makes us human, replied General Martinez from Brazil. 40% of our people become slaves. Our children grow up in alien cities, serving creatures who see them as animals. Commander Lee Tae-ho watched the debates from the military command center. He had spent the week studying everything they knew about the alien ships. The weapons were powerful beyond human understanding. The shields could stop anything Earth's armies could shoot at them. The aliens had faster ships, better computers, and 3,000 years of experience conquering worlds. But Lee had also studied the humans. Dr. Park Soo-jin sat beside him, reading reports from around the globe. Something interesting is happening, she said. Look at these numbers. She showed him data from every continent. When the aliens first made their demand, people were terrified. They stayed home from work. They bought food and supplies. They prepared for the end of the world. Lee nodded. That makes sense. Fear is a normal reaction. But look what happened on day 3, Dr. Park continued. People started going back to work. Not to normal jobs, but to help with the crisis. Farmers began growing extra food for the military. Factory workers started making supplies for free. Scientists from different countries began sharing research they had kept secret for years. She pulled up more reports. Engineers in Japan are working with designers in Germany to build better spaceships. Computer experts in India are helping American military planners understand alien technology. Russian weapons makers are teaching their secrets to anyone who wants to learn. Lee looked at the data with growing amazement. Countries that have been enemies for decades are working together. Not just countries, Dr. Park said. Individual people. There's a story here about a group of teenagers in South Africa who figured out how to hack into alien communication signals. They shared their method with everyone on the internet for free. She showed him more examples. Old soldiers coming out of retirement to train young people. Retired engineers returning to design new weapons. Grandmothers organizing supply networks to feed the millions of people working on Earth's defense. It's like the aliens did something they didn't expect, Dr. Park said. They gave humanity a common enemy. For the first time in our history, every human being wants the same thing. Lee understood. They united us. Meanwhile, Captain Ominsik was having his own revelation in the space shipyards orbiting Earth. Before the alien arrival, the different space agencies barely talked to each other. The American ships used different systems than the European ships. The Chinese kept their technology secret from the Russians. Now engineers from every nation worked side by side, combining their knowledge to build the best ships possible. O walked through the construction bays watching miracles happen every day. "Captain, look at this," called engineer Nam Yunbi. She was young, maybe 25, but her eyes held the intensity of someone much older. "We took the American missile system, added Chinese stealth technology, and put it all on a European hull. It shouldn't work, but it does." O examined her design. A month ago, 3 different governments would have arrested anyone who tried to combine their secret technologies. Now Nam had created something better than any single country could build alone. "How many ships can we make in 30 days?" he asked. "With everyone working together? Maybe 200. They won't be as good as the alien ships, but they'll be ours." In another part of the station, Colonel Yu Jae-sung was training volunteer crews. These were not professional soldiers. They were teachers and shop owners and students who had never been in space before. But they all had one thing in common. "Why are you here?" Yu asked a middle-aged woman who had been a librarian 2 weeks ago. "My daughter is 8 years old," the woman said. "If we surrender, she becomes a slave. If we fight and lose, at least she dies free." The same answer came from everyone. They were not fighting because they thought they could win. They were fighting because some things were worse than death. Back on Earth, something unexpected was happening. It started with a simple question posted on social media. What should humanity's answer be? The question spread across the internet like wildfire. People voted, argued, and discussed. But as the debates continued, a strange pattern emerged. Despite different languages, different cultures, different governments, the same answer kept appearing. Ambassador Kim Do-hyun watched the global polling results in amazement. "This can't be right," he said to his assistant. "I've checked the numbers 3 times, sir. 78% of humans have given the same response to the alien demand. Not 'we refuse' or 'we need time' or 'we want to negotiate.' Just one word." Kim stared at the screen. "No, that's it, sir. Just no." From farmers in Africa, factory workers in China, students in Europe, grandparents in America. The same word in every language. The word had power. It was simple and clear. It could not be misunderstood or twisted into something else. When a parent asked a child to do something dangerous, the child said no. When a bully demanded lunch money, the victim said no. When someone tried to take what belonged to you, you said no. The aliens wanted to take humanity's freedom, their children, their future. Humanity had an answer ready. On the morning of Day 8, Ambassador Kim walked into the communication center. The time had come to give humanity's reply to the Galactic Tribute Council. World leaders had debated for days about what to say, how to say it, and who should say it. But in the end, the choice was simple. The people of Earth had voted. They had spoken in every language with the same voice. Kim stood before the transmission equipment. Around the world, billions of people watched their screens, waiting to hear their representatives speak for all humanity. The alien ships waited in space, confident that Earth would surrender like every species before them. Speaker Velthar expected to hear pleas for mercy, offers to negotiate, or desperate attempts to buy more time. Instead, Ambassador Kim Do-hyun looked directly into the camera and spoke one word. He said it clearly, calmly, and with the full weight of humanity behind it. No. The transmission went out on all frequencies. Every alien ship received the message at the same time. On Earth, people watched their representatives deliver the answer they had chosen. Just one word. But it carried the weight of 8 billion human souls who had decided that freedom was worth more than life. In the alien fleet, Speaker Velthar received the message with confusion. He played it again, thinking there must be more. But there wasn't. For 3,000 years, the Council had heard many responses to their demands. Fear, anger, desperate bargaining, clever attempts to buy time, but never this. Never such a simple, direct refusal. Speaker Velthar called his advisors. "What does this mean? Are they asking for time to prepare their surrender?" "No, Speaker," replied his chief analyst. "According to our understanding of human language, they are refusing our offer completely. But that's impossible. No species simply says no to the Council." The analyst was quiet for a moment. "Perhaps we should study human history more carefully. There might be something we missed." As the alien scholars began their research, humans across Earth felt something they had not felt in 7 days. They felt proud. They had looked at impossible odds and said the only word that mattered. They had said no. Speaker Velthar stood in the research chamber of his flagship, surrounded by floating screens showing human history. What he saw made the light in his crystal body flicker with worry. "Show me the Battle of Thermopylae again," he commanded. The screen displayed ancient Greeks facing a massive Persian army. 300 Spartans stood against hundreds of thousands of enemies. They knew they would die, but they fought anyway, and this one, Velthar pointed to another screen. The siege of Stalingrad, speaker. Human soldiers fought building by building, room by room, even when their city was destroyed around them. They ate rats and fought with broken weapons, but they never surrendered. Chief Analyst Morden, a creature that looked like a walking tree made of metal, continued the presentation. "Here is the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. Humans with no weapons fought against soldiers who had tanks and aircraft. They knew they could not win, but they fought for months." Velthar's light grew dimmer. In 3,000 years of conquering species, he had never seen patterns like these. Most intelligent races were logical. When they faced impossible odds, they surrendered to save lives. It made sense. Humans did not make sense. "Show me their wars against each other," Velthar ordered. The screens filled with images of human conflicts throughout history. World War I, where soldiers lived in mud and poison gas but kept fighting for years. World War II, where entire cities were bombed to ash but their people rebuilt and fought back. Vietnam, where farmers with simple weapons held off the most powerful military in human history. "They fight differently than other species," Morden observed. "Other races fight to win territory or resources. Humans fight for ideas." "What kind of ideas?" Velthar asked. "Freedom, independence, the right to choose their own path. When someone tries to take these things from them, humans become—" Morden paused, searching for the right word. "Dangerous?" Velthar suggested. "Unreasonable," Morden corrected. "They make choices that logical species would never make. They choose death over surrender. They choose suffering over slavery. They choose to fight even when fighting is hopeless." Back on Earth, Dr. Shin Hayewan was making her own discoveries about the aliens. She was a psychologist who studied how people thought and acted during wars. Now she was trying to understand how aliens thought. "Look at this pattern in their communication," she told Admiral Choi Sang-woo. "Every message from their council follows the same structure. First, they show their power. Then they make their demand. Finally, they give a deadline." Admiral Choi studied the data. "It's like a script they've used many times before." "Exactly. They're not negotiating or discussing. They're following a process that has worked for them for thousands of years. They expect every species to react the same way." Dr. Shin pulled up more analysis. "But humans didn't follow their script. We said no instead of begging or bargaining. I think we confused them." She was right. In the alien fleet, panic was spreading through the command structure. For 3 days, council scholars had been studying human history, and each discovery made them more worried. Speaker, called Intelligence Officer Kethvar, "We have found something disturbing about human behavior patterns." "More disturbing than their refusal to surrender?" Velthar asked. "Yes, Speaker. Humans become more unified when facing extinction threats. In their history, the greatest dangers brought out their greatest cooperation." Kethvar showed examples on the screens. During their World War II, former enemies became allies against a common threat. During natural disasters, humans from different tribes worked together to survive. During their space exploration, competing nations shared resources and knowledge. "And now?" Velthar asked, though he feared the answer. "Now we have given them the ultimate common threat. For the first time in human history, every member of their species faces the same enemy. Us." The implications hit Velthar like a physical blow. "You mean we have united them?" "Completely, Speaker. Our intelligence shows that human governments are sharing military secrets they have hidden from each other for decades. Their scientists are working together on projects that were once strictly forbidden. Their people are volunteering for suicide missions to protect strangers they have never met. Tech specialist Han Bo-ram had been working day and night to intercept alien communications. What she found made her call an emergency meeting with Admiral Choi. "Sir, the aliens are scared," she reported. "Their military leaders are arguing with their political leaders. Some want to attack Earth immediately. Others want to retreat and find an easier target." Admiral Choi leaned forward. "Why are they scared?" "They still have better weapons than us." "Because they've never faced an enemy like us, sir. Every other species they conquered was divided. Different tribes, different nations, different ideas about how to respond to the threat. The aliens could make deals with some groups while fighting others. They could use politics and fear to break their enemies apart." Han pulled up intercepted alien messages. "But we didn't break apart, sir. We came together. They don't know how to fight an entire unified species that has already decided it would rather die than surrender. The truth was even worse for the Council than Han realized. In the deepest files of their archives, Council historians found records of only 3 species in galactic history that had united completely against external threats. All 3 had nearly destroyed the civilizations that attacked them. The first was the Velnari Empire, which had fought a 30-year war against unified enemy species before finally winning at tremendous cost. Half their fleet was destroyed and their empire never fully recovered. The second was the Mothek Collective, which had eventually defeated their unified enemy, but only after losing so many ships and soldiers that they became easy targets for other powers. Within 50 years, the collective had fallen. The third attempt to conquer a truly unified species had ended with the complete destruction of the attacking force. No survivors. No explanation of what had gone wrong. Speaker Velthar studied these records with growing dread. The Council had become powerful by picking easy fights with divided enemies. They had never faced a truly unified civilization before. Now they were facing humanity. What makes humans so different? He asked his advisors. They have a concept called stubbornness, Speaker, Morden explained. It means refusing to change your mind even when changing would be logical. Most species see this as a weakness, but for humans? For humans, it seems to be a strength. When they decide something is wrong, they refuse to accept it no matter what the cost. When they decide to fight, they fight until they win or die. There is no middle ground. Velthar looked at the screens showing Earth. The small blue planet looked peaceful from space, but he knew that on its surface, billions of humans were preparing for war. Not the calculated, limited wars that most species fought, but the absolute warfare that humans specialized in. War where surrender was not an option. War where the only choices were victory or death. The kind of war that the Galactic Tribute Council had spent 3,000 years trying to avoid. Speaker, said Communications Officer Teklam, we are receiving reports from other parts of our territory. Some of our tributary species are asking questions about the tribute system. They want to know if it is really mandatory. Velthar's crystal body went completely dark for a moment. This was the nightmare scenario. If other species learned that the Council could be defied, if they learned that resistance was possible, how many species are asking these questions? 47 so far, Speaker. The number is growing every hour. The Council had built their empire on fear and the belief that resistance was impossible. But one small species saying no had started cracks in that foundation. Speaker Velthar realized that the Council faced a choice as difficult as the one they had given humanity. They could retreat and look weak, encouraging more rebellion across their territory, or they could destroy Earth so completely that no other species would ever dare to follow humanity's example. But after studying human history, Velthar had learned something terrifying about humans and their wars. They never forgot. Even if the Council destroyed Earth, they would have to hunt down every human ship, every human colony, every human survivor in the galaxy, because any human who remained alive would spend their entire life trying to destroy the Council in return. For the first time in his long life, Speaker Velthar understood what humans meant when they talked about impossible choices. The Council had wanted to add another tributary species to their empire. Instead, they had created their worst enemy. 23 days remained until the Council's deadline. Earth had transformed into something the aliens had never seen before. General Lim Hae-jin stood on the observation deck of the orbital defense platform, watching the controlled chaos below. Ships moved in every direction, carrying supplies, weapons, and volunteers. What amazed him most was not the activity but the cooperation. General, the African Union ships have arrived, reported his aide. They're carrying the new missile systems designed by the European engineers. And the Asian Federation convoy? They brought the stealth technology that the Americans requested. Also 3,000 volunteers for the suicide squadrons. Lim nodded grimly. The suicide squadrons were humanity's most desperate plan. Small ships loaded with explosives piloted by volunteers who knew they would not return. Every nation had more volunteers than they could accept. In the weapon laboratories buried deep under the Swiss Alps, scientist Kang Mi-young worked without sleep. Around her, the brightest minds from every continent shared ideas that their governments had kept secret for decades. The Russian physicist was right about the energy calculations, she told her international team. If we combine the American plasma research with the Chinese miniaturization technology, we can build something that might actually hurt their ships. Dr. Yamamoto from Japan looked up from his computer. But we only have enough rare materials for 12 weapons. Even if all 12 work perfectly, they won't stop 400 ships. Then we don't try to stop all 400 ships, Kang replied. We make the price of victory too high to pay. She pulled up tactical displays showing the alien fleet formation. Look at this pattern. The big command ships stay in the center, protected by smaller vessels. If we can destroy even one command ship, we might cause enough confusion to achieve our real goal. Which is? Asked Dr. Chen from Singapore. Making them realize that conquering Earth will cost them everything they value. Their empire, their peace, their future. Meanwhile, Commander Ryu Dong-wook led humanity's most dangerous mission. His small fleet of modified ships had left Earth's solar system, heading into the dark space between stars. Their mission was to map Council supply lines and find their weak points. Commander, we're picking up signals from the Council communication network, reported his navigator, Lieutenant Park Min-ho. What kind of signals? Supply requests, troop movements, status reports from their tributary worlds. Sir, I think we found something important. Ryu studied the intercepted data. The Council Empire was huge, spanning dozens of star systems. But like all huge organizations, it needed constant supplies and communication to function. Look at these routes. Park pointed to the star map. Everything flows through 3 central systems. Food, fuel, replacement parts, even messages between different parts of their empire. Ryu smiled coldly. Show me the defense patterns around those systems. The analysis revealed what he had hoped. The Council had grown comfortable after 3,000 years of easy victories. Their supply lines were lightly defended, protected only by the belief that no enemy could reach them. Prepare the attack packages, Ryu ordered. If we can't beat them in a straight fight, we'll make sure they can't maintain their fleet. Back on Earth, Captain Ominsik faced an impossible task. Earth's combined space fleet now numbered 237 ships. They were good ships, built with the best technology humanity could manage. But the Council fleet had 412 ships, each one larger and more powerful than anything humans had ever built. Captain, Engineer Nam Yunbi approached with another modification proposal. What if we don't try to fight them ship to ship? What do you mean? Their ships are designed to fight other ships. Big, powerful, heavily armored. But what if we don't fight like a normal space navy? What if we fight like guerrillas? Oh, considered this. Explain. Small, fast attacks. Hit and run. Make them chase us through asteroid fields and behind planets. Force them to split their fleet into smaller groups we can actually fight. She showed him tactical simulations. We can't win a direct battle, but we might be able to make the battle so expensive that they decide to leave. And if they don't leave? Nam's expression was grim but determined. Then we make them pay such a high price that other species will see it's possible to hurt the Council. Sometimes losing a battle can help you win a war. In the deepest bunkers on Earth, Colonel Yu Jae-sung trained the volunteers who would fight if the aliens reached the planet's surface. These were not professional soldiers. They were teachers, farmers, students, grandparents. But they had one advantage that professional soldiers sometimes lacked. They had nothing left to lose. Remember, Yu told a group of trainees, if they land troops on Earth, their mission is to capture humans alive for slavery. That gives us an advantage. They have to be careful not to kill too many of us. We don't have to be careful at all. An elderly woman raised her hand. What if they decide to just destroy everything instead of trying to capture us? Yu nodded. Then we make sure destroying Earth costs them more than they can afford. Every alien soldier who dies here is one less to terrorize other worlds. Every ship we destroy is one less to attack the next species that says no. The woman smiled grimly. So we're not just fighting for Earth, we're fighting for everyone. That's right. We're showing the galaxy that the Council can be hurt. Far from Earth, other worlds were watching the confrontation with growing interest. The Council's tributary species had lived under alien rule for generations, paying their tribute and serving their masters. But humanity's simple no had planted a seed of an idea. What if tribute was optional? What if resistance was possible? On the mining world of Kepler 442b, human broadcasts were being secretly translated and shared among the native population. The aliens who ruled them had forbidden all contact with the humans, but the miners found ways to listen. They really told the Council no, whispered Grixtol to his mining partner. More than that, they're preparing to fight. A single world species is preparing to fight the entire council. The miners worked in silence for a while, thinking about this impossible news. Finally, Grixtol spoke again. If the humans can say no, maybe we can too. Similar conversations were happening on dozens of worlds across council space. The rebellion hadn't started yet, but the idea of rebellion was spreading like wildfire. Back in the council fleet, Speaker Velthar received reports that filled him with dread. Intelligence showed that Earth's preparations were not defensive. The humans were preparing for offensive operations against council supply lines and communication networks. "They're not trying to survive our attack," reported Chief Analyst Morden. "They're trying to damage our empire so badly that other species will rebel." Velthar studied the human tactical plans. "Even if we destroy their home world, their ships in deep space will continue attacking us." "Yes, Speaker." "And according to their public broadcasts, they've sent detailed information about council weaknesses to every tributary world in our empire. If we destroy Earth, we'll still face decades of rebellions inspired by their example. And if we don't destroy Earth, then we look weak. Other species will demand to renegotiate their tribute agreements. Some may refuse to pay at all." Velthar realized the trap that humanity had created. There was no good choice. Every option led to the weakening or destruction of the council's power. "How did one primitive species create this situation?" he asked. Morden displayed human communication intercepts. "By being willing to sacrifice everything for a principle, Speaker. They value freedom more than life. Most species can be controlled through fear of death. But if a species doesn't fear death, what can you threaten them with?" The question hung in the air like poison. For 3,000 years, the council had ruled through fear. But fear only worked on species that wanted to survive more than they wanted to be free. Humans had made a different choice. As the deadline approached, Speaker Velthar faced the most difficult decision in council history: attack Earth and risk everything in a war that might destroy both civilizations, or retreat and watch the council empire crumble as species after species followed humanity's example. On Earth, the final preparations continued. Weapons were loaded, ships were fueled, and volunteers took their positions. Humanity had said no to an impossible demand. Now they had to prove that no meant no, no matter what the cost. The galaxy watched and waited to see what happened when an unstoppable force met someone who simply refused to move. The 30th day arrived with Earth's sun rising over a world ready for war. Admiral Jung Woo-jin stood in the command center, watching the final preparations. Every ship was in position, every weapon was loaded, every volunteer knew their mission. Around him, officers from every nation worked side by side, united by humanity's simple answer to an impossible demand. "Admiral, the council fleet is moving," reported the tracking officer. "All ships are taking attack positions around Earth. Send our message," Young ordered. Communications Officer Lee transmitted humanity's final words to the alien fleet. "You gave us 30 days to surrender. We used them to prepare for war. This is your last chance to leave peacefully." In the council flagship, Speaker Velthar received the message with something like admiration. Even facing certain destruction, the humans remained defiant. No species in the galaxy's history had shown such stubborn courage. "Begin orbital bombardment," he ordered. "Target their major cities first. When they see their homes burning, perhaps they will reconsider." The council ships opened fire. Beams of energy that could melt mountains struck Earth's surface. But something was wrong. The beams hit shields and barriers that shouldn't exist. Explosions erupted in space as hidden defense platforms returned fire. "Impossible," whispered Velthar. "How did they build such defenses in only 30 days? His tactical officer provided the answer. "They didn't build them in 30 days, Speaker. They built them in 30 days working together. Every nation contributed their best technology. No secrets, no competition, just cooperation. The bombardment continued, but Earth's defenses held longer than they should have. Every shield generator destroyed was replaced by 3 more. Every defense platform that fell took council ships with it. Then the human fleet attacked. Captain Oh Min-sik led the first wave, knowing most of his ships would not survive. But survival was not the goal. The goal was to make the council pay a price so high that the galaxy would see it. All ships remember the plan, he broadcast. We don't fight to win. We fight to make them bleed. Human ships dove at the council fleet like angry wasps. They were smaller, weaker, and fewer in number. but they fought with a fury that the aliens had never experienced. When human ships ran out of ammunition, they rammed enemy vessels. When their engines failed, they used their last power to detonate their reactors next to Council ships. Speaker Velthar watched his tactical displays with growing horror. Yes, the humans were losing. Their ships were being destroyed faster than they could replace them. But every human ship that died took Council vessels with it. Casualty report, he demanded. We've lost 68 ships, Speaker. The humans have lost 112, but we started with 400 ships. They started with 237. His tactical officer understood the problem. At this rate of exchange, we'll win, but we won't have enough ships left to maintain control of our other territories. The battle raged for hours. Human ships fought with desperate creativity, using tactics no logical species would attempt. They hid inside asteroid fields and ambushed Council patrols. They pretended to retreat, then turned and attacked when the aliens followed. They used their own exploding ships as weapons. But the real surprise came from deep space. Commander Ryu Dongwook's mission had been successful beyond humanity's wildest dreams. While the Council focused on Earth, his small fleet had struck at the supply lines that kept the alien empire functioning. Admiral, reported the communications officer, we're receiving signals from across Council space. Their supply depots are under attack. Communication relays are going dark. Some tributary worlds are reporting that their Council overseers have simply disappeared. Jung smiled grimly. Ryu's plan worked. The plan had been simple but devastating. Use the month of preparation to identify every critical system that kept the Council empire running. Then when the main fleet was busy attacking Earth, strike at all those systems simultaneously. Fuel depots exploded. Communication networks went silent. Supply ships carrying food and replacement parts were destroyed or captured. In a single day, humanity had crippled the infrastructure that held the Council's vast empire together. On the mining world of Kepler 442b, Grixtol and his fellow workers received the signal they had been waiting for. Human broadcast had told them exactly when to act. Now, Grixtol whispered to his mining crew, while their ships are fighting Earth, we take our world back. Similar uprisings began on dozens of worlds. Species that had paid tribute for generations suddenly remembered what freedom meant. They might not be as stubborn as humans, but they had learned from humanity's example. The Council's worst nightmare was coming true. The Empire was falling apart. Speaker, Chief Analyst Morden reported with panic in his artificial voice. We're receiving rebellion reports from 47 worlds. Our tributary species are refusing to pay tribute. Some are attacking our garrison forces. Beltar's crystal body flickered with stress. How many ships can we recall from the Earth battle to suppress these rebellions? If we withdraw ships from Earth, the humans might actually win the battle. If we don't withdraw ships, we'll lose half our empire. It was the trap that humanity had prepared. Win or lose at Earth, the Council would be destroyed. Dr. Lee Yu-na watched the battle from Earth's surface as alien ships burned in the sky above. She had spent the month developing humanity's secret weapon, but it wasn't a new type of gun or bomb. It was an idea. The idea that freedom was worth any price. The idea that some things were worse than death. The idea that even the mightiest empire could be told no if you were willing to accept the consequences. That idea was spreading across the galaxy like wildfire. President Song Ji-hoon addressed the world as explosions lit the sky. My fellow humans, we are losing this battle. Many of our brave defenders are dying. Our cities are burning, but we are winning something more important than this battle. He gestured toward the reports flowing in from across the galaxy. We are winning the war for everyone's freedom. Dozens of species are following our example. The Council Empire is collapsing not because we destroyed it, but because we showed everyone that it could be destroyed. The battle for Earth continued for 3 days. Humanity lost more ships, more cities, more lives. But the Council lost something even more valuable. They lost their reputation as an unstoppable force. When other species saw that humans could hurt the mighty Council, they stopped being afraid. Fear had been the Council's greatest weapon. Without it, they were just another group of bullies. On the 3rd day, Speaker Velthar made the hardest decision of his long life. Recall all ships. We're withdrawing from Earth. Speaker, we can still win this battle, protested his military commander. But we've already lost the war, Velthar replied. If we spend our remaining ships destroying Earth, we'll have nothing left to hold our empire together. The humans have made destroying them too expensive. The Council fleet began to withdraw, but their troubles were far from over. As they retreated, human ships followed, harassing them every step of the way. The aliens who had come to collect tribute found themselves fighting running battles across 3 star systems. When the Council fleet finally escaped to deep space, they had lost more than half their ships. But worse than the military defeat was the political disaster. The galaxy had seen the mighty Council run away from a single world. The rebellion that humanity had started with one word spread to every corner of Council space. No became the most dangerous word in alien languages. Species that had been slaves for generations remembered what independence meant. Some worlds gained their freedom through negotiation. Others fought brief wars against weakened Council forces. A few simply declared their independence and dared the Council to do something about it. The Council had ships remaining, but not enough to fight everyone at once. Their empire crumbled in months rather than years. On Earth, the survivors began rebuilding their damaged world. Cities were rebuilt stronger than before. The international cooperation that had saved humanity continued in peacetime. Former enemies worked together on projects that benefited everyone. But humanity's greatest victory wasn't saving their own world. It was showing the galaxy that freedom was possible. Ambassador Kim Do-hyun received thousands of messages from newly freed worlds. They all said the same thing in different languages. Thank you for showing us that we could say no. Years later, historians would debate whether humanity won through courage, stubbornness, or simple refusal to accept the unacceptable. The truth was simpler than any complex analysis. When the Galactic Tribute Council demanded humanity surrender, humanity gave the only answer that mattered. No, and that single word changed everything. The galaxy learned that some species would rather die free than live as slaves. They learned that even the mightiest empire could fall if enough people refused to obey it. They learned that freedom was contagious, spreading from world to world faster than any army could stop it. The Council's 3,000-year reign ended not with a great battle or a political revolution, but with one small species that simply refused to surrender their children to slavery. In the end, the most powerful word in the galaxy wasn't a threat or a promise, it was no,